Hello and welcome to Gary's Garage. No cars in the shop today that I'm working on, so this finally gives me an opportunity to catch up on shooting some video. I wanted to do a continuation on the Cobra project, and I've been so busy the last couple of months I really haven't had a chance. I did shoot some videos, so I'm going to kind of put it together for you today. I wanted to, in the series, the next one, to do the first engine start. Didn't go as planned, and wanted to take a look and see how it went. Okay, go ahead. I think the idle control loop just needs some work.
Okay, so
but
sorry,
go again.
Longer?
Yep. Still doesn't sound right. What you probably could see there is that the engine started up and didn't idle, and it turned out to be quite the ordeal to get it sorted, and it was because of a number of things. Unfortunately, the documentation that came with Holly and some of the stuff I downloaded from the internet differed, and it differed from the way the actual wire harness was. It was a wire harness document that I had. And just quickly, so if anyone's doing a Holly and on a Ford, these are the things you need to double check to help get you on the right track. Number one, the document I had showed the IAC. The IAC is the oil air control, wired to output number one from the Holly Terminator X. But that's really not the case. They're all, I think it was at one point, but now they're wired to 4. The other thing is the wiring diagram that I had also showed that the other side of the IAC valve was connected to ground. And this was an indication that the output from the Terminator X was a driven output or sourced type output, and it would be PWM if it was configured that way, as it needs to be for Ford. So it was, I made the incorrect assumption that if that's the way IC worked, that all the outputs would be driven, and that's the way they would. The termination they Holly uses is grounded, which is, it's not really clear as far as what that is. Anyway, so that turned out not to be the case. It turned out that the output was actually wired to 4, and that they were sinking type outputs, which means you take a power supply to the IC valve, and then the PWM signal is from the connection of the coil to ground, and that gives you your signal. So that threw us off. The other problem we had is, when you use the configuration file in the little handheld that comes with Holly, they give you a global file for that particular motor, the 4.6 4-cam, and we used that thinking that everything would be fine, and went through it quickly. And it wasn't until I started working with my laptop and had the full system on the screen that I realized that that global file that they gave us actually was configured for a stepper IAC. And a stepper IAC is what you would have on a General Motors, like an LS. And so I'm not too sure what the reasoning is behind, but I do know that some people do a conversion on some Ford motors to a General Motors stepper style idle valve for either convenience or performance, or idle performance, because the PWMs might be a little tricky to set up. So that was a lot going on. So as you can imagine, when you have multiple connection errors or whatever, you'd usually try and troubleshooting, doing one thing at a time, and I wasn't really getting anywhere. And probably the main reason why I wasn't getting anywhere is that I understood that there was an element of timing control in the idle for purposes of stabilization, but I didn't realize how much capability that had. And so if the engine was either at the right temperature, or there was enough air bleeding by the throttle plates, the timing, just with timing modulation, the engine could actually idle and operate like that. It would go up and down, although it had problems getting to the number we were trying to run at. So this led me to think that the valve was actually working, it just wasn't working in the right range. So I did spend a lot of time sorting this out, and it wasn't until I was able to identify all the issues, get all the issues sorted, and then literally as soon as I got that done, bang, it started working and everything's fine. It's a good system, but as usual, the information that you get and understanding the terminology, and I watched many videos that Ollie put out, and trying to learn as much as I could. Took a while. So and luckily I had some friends to call on. Shannon, good buddy of mine from racing, is Ford guy, and he was able to explain the IAC on Fords are actually vacuum shut. So if there's in the IAC valve, there's a position that's sort of like a neutral position, and that's open. It allows air to pass into the engine. So when you first hit the key, it starts, revs up, and you see that. But then when as you get vacuum builds, as the engine builds vacuum, it pulls the valve closed, and the engine RPM falls down. And that's when the IAC control, or in this case the Hall 8, which is acting as a control, will send a signal to the valve, pull the valve back open enough so that it meets the target IAC values that are in the program. So at first I didn't understand this, and it wasn't until I actually took the whole throttle body apart and saw the channels inside, how it was plumbed. It actually was backwards from where it looked. So I didn't think it could possibly work that way, but that's the way it worked. So, the sort of the underlying rule is don't be misled by what you see. And so as a result, I'm just going to cut to the way it actually runs and starts now. And then the next up in this series will be putting the body on the chassis. Of course, it's all long happened, but you'll see that. And then the first drive where we actually pull it out of the garage, I got that for you. So stay tuned and watch that. There you have it. So the project's so far a success. The car is over at the body shop getting the body done. We got a few little jobs to do when it comes back. That should be in about a month's time, and I still promise that you will see the finished project and see it drive, maybe take you along for a ride. That's it for Gary's Garage this episode. Thanks for watching. I appreciate all the likes, comments, questions that I got. Keep that coming, and please subscribe. I'm actually trying to get to the point I might actually create some revenue. Not looking to make a lot of money or anything, but it would be nice if something would come in. I could spend the money getting a better camera. Anyway, thanks again for watching Gary's Garage, and don't be afraid to do it yourself, guys.